What are the most important things in your life? Jesus says in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew 6 that where our treasure is, there will our heart be also. He talks quite a bit about treasure. Treasure is something that we value, that's very important to us, that we tend to focus on and we think about a lot. It's so important for us, I think, in our lives, for our lives to have real impact, that we ask the question, what is my treasure? What is most important to me? Hey, if you're enjoying the content, I would encourage you to subscribe to the channel and share this video with somebody right now. And now back to the content. You know, we can have a lot of treasures in our life. For some people, maybe they look at their wealth or their position or their accomplishments as that most important thing, that treasure. We see in the Old Testament in the book of Ecclesiastes that Solomon went through a period in his life where he began to have other treasures, whether it was pleasure, whether it was accomplishment, whether it was money. And at the end of it, he discovered and realized that all of those, quote, treasures weren't really that valuable, that they were really empty. And the most important thing that he could treasure is his relationship with the Lord. We need to take a cue from that in our own lives. When we think about that phrase, Jesus talks about where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. It points out the realization that whatever I find most valuable is where my heart is going to be. What I'm going to think about, what I'm going to focus on, what is going to give me joy. And depending on what that treasure is, what I see as most valuable, that's going to be demonstrated by what gives me pleasure, what gives me excitement, what I think about all the time. And it's so important for us to realize that in our lives and to have the right treasure. So my question for you is, what is your treasure? Just earlier in that same passage, Jesus talks about not having a treasure that rusts out or moths get at. What he's saying is that there are so many things in our life that we can focus on, that we can value, that aren't of real significance, that will rust, that will get moths, that will go bad, that will be foul in the end. You think about people, and maybe you've seen articles about this, people at the end of their life looking back on their life and what they put their energy and their time in, whether it was their career or riches or possessions or whatever it was. And we know the stories because we've seen them, that so many times in their lives they look back and they think, I had the wrong treasure. I had the wrong treasure. And I think what Jesus is challenging us to do as we think about this Sermon on the Mount and the idea of living for the kingdom is to realize that our treasure ultimately needs to be eternal. It's not something here on the earth. We need to have a job. We need to save for the future, for retirement. We can have other interests, but those things don't need to be our treasure, what we put our hope in, what our joy is in. Jesus says that we should build up treasure that's eternal, that lasts. And that needs to be the challenge of our life. Rather than thinking that all our possessions or our job is going to give us joy and fulfillment, it needs to be our relationship with the Lord. It needs to be us building up treasures in heaven. What does that mean? Well, I think it means that our focus has to be eternal in our life, not about our possessions or career, but about impacting others' lives. I'll tell you, the reason why I have this YouTube channel is not to gain more prominence. It's to store up treasures in heaven. I am so excited about the opportunities that I have to influence, to encourage people in their relationship with Jesus Christ, to think about spiritual truth and to try to apply it in their lives. We do a number of things as husband and wife that we do because we want to impact others' lives. Teach a Sunday school class, do biblical counseling, meet with guys I do to disciple them. All those things are ultimately so exciting because I and you have the opportunity to impact others' lives for eternity. I think that's what it means to build up treasure in heaven. And if the focus of your life is building up treasure in heaven, that's where your heart's going to be. That's what you will be excited about. And that's what I'm excited about. And my encouragement to you, as Jesus, I think, encouraged us in Matthew 6, is to think about where our treasure is, what we're focusing on, because that's where our heart will be. And that you begin to think about, how can I have a greater impact on the lives of people in the here and now and affect their eternity? I tell you, there's no greater excitement in life than being able to encourage people and to impact their lives for all eternity. This is a challenge for you as you look at your own life. Where is my treasure? Where's my heart? What do I find my joy and my excitement in? What do I put my focus on? And that you would put your focus, have your excitement in not what's going to rust out and be eaten by moths, but what's eternal. God bless and have a great day.